Okay, so hello and welcome to another podcast. And this time we haven't got a preview or a review to discuss. We've got some breaking news. And as you all know by now, it will be AlexAlbon who will be replacing Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull seat from Belgium onwards. So to discuss that, we have Ben with us, as always. Ben, hi.
Hello, good to be here.
Yeah, and did we not see this coming for a long time now?
I think certainly the replacement of Gasly was coming for a long time. I feel like he pushed Red Bull into a corner so much so his performances, were so poor and he was so off the pace. I don't feel like it's much of a surprise to anybody that the decision been taken to take Gasly out of the Red Bull car. Certainly.
Yeah, but then I am a sad man today because the hashtag bring Kvyat back is dead for now.
It's dead. I mean, it's dead for now, and it's probably dead for all time. If they had a tough choice, and I feel like if they've chosen to go with Albon now, considering Albon's a youngster, still his first season in F1. Kvyat's got more points in the championship, of course, as well. So I feel like, I feel like this potentially proves that the move to bring back Kvyat on Red Bull's part was not so much a move that they believe he might now be good enough and they give him a try. It was perhaps more a move of, oh, actually, is the talent pool a bit dry at the minute? Where do we get a second driver for Toro Rosso? Oh, we'll get Kvyat back in. Maybe that was more their thinking there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense, but the thing is, in the official statement that they released, they mentioned that they will be keeping Albon under watch for 9 races. Basically, he has 9 races to prove himself, and then they'll take a decision on the 2020 driver lineup. And they also mentioned that they right now have 4 able drivers who can step into the Red Bull seat. One of them being Pierre Gasly, obviously. But don't you think that means that they're assessing each driver that they have right now? Because Pierre had his chance for the first 12 races. Albon is unproven in the Red Bull car, so they want to give Albon a go for the 9 races and see what he can do and see if he can keep up to pace. Because they already know what Kvyat is capable of in that Red Bull car. He's already been there for a season and a half almost, and he's proven himself. So they already know what he's capable of. So they just want to try out other options before they take the decision of the 2020 lineup. Could that be the case? I'm just guessing.
I mean, I think that's fair because obviously one of the reasons people have said that they might potentially not make the change is obviously because they've said, well, who are the options? And they've said they didn't have many, but I guess they recognise that Albon, putting him in is a slight risk. Obviously, first season F1, he's only had 12 races so far. It's to put him into a top car and ask him to be picking up the podiums and the potential wins that Red Bull are going to be asking for, it's going to be a tough ask. So I feel like it's they recognise that it's a risk and it's going to be a challenge for him. So they're obviously not going to commit to more than the end of the season. I feel like it's just a temporary move to say, right, whatever. I feel they could have stick or twist. Stick or twist was the choice. The stick was Pierre Gasly. And the problem with sticking was Pierre Gasly has 63 championship points. He's nowhere near Verstappen, nowhere near any other top team, any other driver in the top team. But the twist option is you twist and you get Albon, and they say, well, is Albon going to be good enough? Is Albon going to suffer from the same thing? Is he quick enough? And Red Bull have kind of, well, then Red Bull have probably ended up thinking, can we get worse? And the answer is probably not. Because at the minute, Gasly's not even beating the midfield. So, realistically, is Albon going to do worse? I mean, of course he could, but
it's unlikely.
It's unlikely he would be that horrific. We will see, but it's unlikely he would be that bad. So, I feel like they're just keeping their options open, having a look at Albon, and then giving themselves the whole of the off season at the end of the season to kind of have if Albon doesn't work, have a rethink, or if Albon does work, give him a contract. Yeah, they're kind of keeping their options open right now.
Yeah, and especially with silly season coming up, there might be other drivers available for 2020 which they aren't right now. So Red Bull must keep their eyes open for that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we're gonna discuss in a later podcast that we'll bring
Yeah.
out the whole silly season rumours. But yeah, obviously it's important. Yeah, Red Bull just decided like what is happening now can't continue. We're just gonna. But yeah, have a look at Albon. Man, Albon has had a good season himself. Let's not forget that. Coming in as a rookie, he's had some really standout drives. The China one stands out in particular. Pit lane to the points. Had a good finish in Germany as well. Got points again in Hungary last time out. So Albon is a driver who have a lot of confidence and has done well on his debut for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just have to put this out there. Like, how jealous are you right now if you're Lando Norris or George Russell?
Oh yeah. I was thinking this earlier actually. Yeah, obviously the guy who was third in the championship, and when it came down to it, the fight was between Russell and Norris, though, wasn't it? Albon was kind of cut adrift a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of strange. It kind of shows how much politics and being in the right place and making the right calls is everything in F1. Obviously, having the raw speed is good, but you need to work the politics side to get where you want to go. And obviously Albon, you could say, is on performance is the least talented of the three, but he's managed to work himself into the Red Bull seat while Russell is going around in a milk float and Lando Norris is in a McLaren. So he's certainly
Yeah,
done well.
I mean, it would have been insane if at the start of the season, or at least before Australia started, you'd have told anybody that Albon would have a chance to win a race by round 13
Yeah,
this
yeah.
season.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like going into the season, we thought all the top teams were locked down. I mean, certainly after the first couple of races, because we're like, well, Verstappen and Leclerc, that's that. Sorry, not Verstappen and Leclerc. That would be a team I'd want to see. Vettel and Leclerc, Vettel and Leclerc, they're locked down. After Bottas 2.0 turned up in Australia and Bahrain, we were like, well, Mercedes is locked down. We're like, well, Red Bull's
Yeah.
locked down as well because Verstappen's going nowhere. Gasly looked very, very good in Toro Rosso. I think Gasly's going to do well. And then, so we thought, there's not much chance for the younger drivers in their programs. Whereas now, both certainly Gasly's underperformance has opened up the seat at Red Bull, and Albon has done well enough to put himself in with a shout at the seat.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible, and I mean, like, looking at the flip side, not looking at it from Kvyat's perspective, but we are really, I mean, I am at least very glad for Albon that he has got this opportunity. But then I have my fears when it comes to Albon because I have a strange feeling that he might go the Gasly way as well.
Hmm. Um, Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that in the sense of obviously Gasly had the experience at Toro Rosso, didn't he? And certainly much more so than Albon does. So, I'm sure Red Bull will be aware of the pressures they're putting on him. I would say whatever happens in these 9 races, Albon will be on the grid next year. I'm
Yeah.
sure he will be at Toro Rosso regardless next year. Because if they came down to it and they wanted to keep Gasly in Toro Rosso, I'm sure they would move on Kvyat. As today proves, they don't really have much, need or time for Kvyat. So I'm sure that would happen. But yeah, Red Bull know what they're asking of, and I feel like they're going to be understanding in the sense of uh, they want him to perform, but if he doesn't, they're also going to have to take it on the chin and say, okay, fair enough. It was too early. It was too much pressure to put on him. We'll put him back into Rosso for now. So I think they know that. I think they know the risk they're taking.
Yeah, obviously they have to. I mean, they know much more than we do. Uh, yeah, but I mean, uh, just last week even, and the statements coming out from Red Bull previous to this was always that Gasly has the entire season to prove himself. And even after the Hungarian race, both Helmut Marko and Christian Horner were like very supportive of Gasly and like coming out in public and saying that there's no chance we are changing our driver lineup mid-season, and he has the summer break to reflect upon himself and come back stronger in the next races. But all of that turned on its head just at, I mean, I was really surprised by it,
Yeah,
by the turn of events today.
it's classic sport, isn't it? The old it's like the old adage in football: the manager's position is never in more danger than when he's been given the vote of confidence. And yeah, Gasly's found out. It's certainly true in F1 as well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I totally believe them. It was, what else could they say? I'm sure at that point, A, they didn't know, and B, when you haven't made the decision, you can't really go around saying, well, we're definitely dropping him. We just need to work out who it's going to be. Like, I don't think they were going to play
Yeah,
it that way. And I'm sure when they said those things, they probably knew they were going to look to replace him. But even if they weren't entirely, even if they were still in the process, they were still got to try and keep his head up as well. Because they can't like disrespect him in that way because they're still keeping him on their books because he's only moving down to Toro Rosso. They're not getting him out completely, so you can't kind of ruin the working relationship as well with
yeah.
Gasly and
Hmm.
just say what. So I feel like there's a bit, no one, these teams. This is true of any sport, but in F1, these teams tell the media what they want the media to know. They don't tell them anything
Yeah,
they don't want them to know.
exactly.
So, um, yeah, obviously that was maybe some people were surprised, but when you always take what teams say with a pinch of salt in those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, for the performances that Gasly has given this season, I would really say that he is kind of lucky to be in a Toro Rosso.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Obviously, getting another driver in for Toro Rosso. I mean, we'll talk about this in our other podcast, but obviously Toro Rosso's options if Gasly were to leave are I'm not too sure where they're going to come from, but certainly I don't think they're all going to make too many changes. So yeah, he's given a chance, isn't he? But obviously we saw from Kvyat, when he got dropped from Red Bull to Toro Rosso, his performances weren't, that they weren't up to the level you'd expect, and he's been talking. In the lead up to Hungary and Germany, he's been talking the way he's had to kind of reinvent himself, and he took his year out, and he kind of said he's had to let go of all the feelings and all the bad things going around in his mind about him being dropped. He says it took him all that time to let that go, and this is why you're seeing him perform the way he is this season because he's had to let all that stuff go. And obviously Gasly is still going to have all that going on, so it's going to be difficult for him. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe a break in the sport is
I
what's
mean,
best.
if you compare both the drivers being dropped, Kvyat and Gasly, I would say that when it came to Kvyat, the situation was that he got dropped because of Verstappen, not
Yeah,
because of himself, less because of himself, because I don't think he was underperforming half as much as Gasly was. And whereas in the case of Gasly, you have to say that the only person to blame is Gasly himself. So I don't think he would be as downbeat as Kvyat was, because Kvyat, I mean, if I was in Kvyat's place, I would be feeling that I was let down by the team. But whereas in Gasly's situation, he can't be saying that he was let down by the team. He let down himself.
do you not feel that's worse though? I mean, I'm sure Kvyat will feel he was wronged. Kvyat will feel unlucky in the sense that I think you're absolutely right. If Verstappen isn't there, Verstappen was the hottest property at the time, and he was only at Toro Rosso. If Red Bull didn't promote him, he would have been at Ferrari or Mercedes now.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially with
so
Rosberg retiring in the end of 2016.
exactly that would have been a prime seat, wouldn't it? Yeah, and that was Red Bull's problem. They knew they had to get him in the team, and as soon as Kvyat made the mistake in Russia, ironically, you know, and it just didn't help. He slammed into Vettel. God at Red Bull. But yeah, the thing is, Red Bull were looking for an excuse. So I feel like Kvyat can kind of hold his head up more and say, I know I could have done better, but at the same time, I was getting podiums, and I was dropped because of someone else, because of Verstappen. Whereas for Gasly, surely he feels worse in the sense that it's all his own fault. He's thinking,
Yeah.
why he must
Hmm.
be doubting himself, everything about himself, because he would have thought he was fast, and he would have thought, "What, I deserve this," and now he's performed to this level. His confidence must be absolutely shot.
Yeah, I just hope that he finishes the season off well. I mean, he certainly sounded happier when he was in Toro Rosso, so I expect his performances to go up. But I'm not really sure what realistically he can do in that Toro Rosso, especially with Kvyat now as his teammate. I'm sure Kvyat is going to dominate him, but then that's another story.
Well, I think I don't know. I mean, Korea could is kind of the only driver who knows how Gus is feeling right now. I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the dynamic could work. I'm sure. I'm sure Korea will kind of. I mean, I don't know the characters of the two drivers, whether that's something they would do, but I'm sure Korea could have things to say that would help Gasly. Certainly, I mean,
Yeah, of course, of course, of course.
he's been through the same things, so hopefully you'd like to think he'd try and help him out. But as I say, I can't see positive things for Gasly at the end of the season, certainly, because like you've got the whole disappointment, and then you've got the fact of you've got the whole disappointment. And then Toro Rosso traditionally they're a first half season team, aren't they? I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but Toro Rosso are that team that historically always tail off at the end of the season. And towards the end of the season, they fall. They don't seem to develop as much as everyone else, and they always fall to one of the slower cars on the grid. So, if that happens again, that's another bad point in Gasly towards Gasly.
Yeah, wrong place at the wrong time. But yeah, we'll end on the final question that I have for you is that Red Bull right now are what 40 odd points behind Ferrari right now, and they have Albon in that car, in the second car. So do you think Red Bull can realistically get P2 in the constructors now by the end of the season?
I think they can do it. I do think they can do it. I feel like Albon is going to be on the pace a lot more. Obviously,
Yeah.
one of the good things going in Albon's favour is that Gasly has set the bar so low. Really, if you think about it, if he finishes on the tail of the top six, if he just beats the midfield, he's done better than Gasly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something in his favour. But
And that's
yeah,
like the minimum that you need. And
exactly.
in case of Red Bull, unfortunately, that is all that you need to do right now.
Exactly. No, I feel like that's why it was so impossible for Red Bull to keep Gasly. He couldn't even beat the midfield. They just could not keep him on. So I mean, and obviously Red Bull are improving all the time, and they're one of the they're coming into race weekends now, and they're favourites for races now. So I feel like 40 points, it could Verstappen completely at the top of his game. I think it could be done certainly.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, so that is our opinion on the entire issue of Kvyat not being promoted. I'm going to mention this as much as possible. The Kvyat not being promoted and Albon being promoted to the Red Bull seat for the rest of the 2019 season, and Pierre Gasly unfortunately going back to Toro Rosso, just like Daniel Kvyat did in 2016. So that is all from us.